Alright, welcome back to the next lesson in our garage series for the next gen car. We're going to start working on the actual suspension parts like the shocks and the springs and so on. We're going to start with the left front of the car, and we're going to play with the spring rates. Basically, what the springs do is they support the weight of the car, and they're measured in pounds per inch pressed. So basically, this 2,000 pound inch spring means that it takes 2,000 pounds of force to compress the spring 1 inch. Now, as a general rule, the stiffer the spring is going to make the car attract more weight to that spring, where the softer spring is going to attract less weight. Now, as far as bumps and stuff go, the softer springs are going to handle bumps a little better than a stiffer spring. And as a general rule, on the left front of the car, a stiffer spring is going to make the car looser on corner entry, and it'll help tighten the car coming off the corner. So what we did is we got these set up to 2,000 pounds on both the right and the left front, and we're going to experiment a little bit with the left front spring just to see how it makes difference, or how it changes the car as we drive it. So we're going to go out with this as a test run and kind of get a feel for what the car is doing now. That should be good enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjust that that left front spring. We're going to make that left front spring stiffer and see how it affects the car. So we're going to go all the way. So first thing we got to do is we got to take a look at our ride heights, see where we're at before we change the spring. And we're going to go ahead and unattach and note our preload. So we got a 50.9 preload. And we're going to go ahead and apply that. Now we're going to jump up our spring. Our ride height's 1266. So we're going to crank this all the way up to 4,000 or 4,500. Actually, we'll take it to 4,000. So we don't want to take it all the way to the extreme. So 1266, we'll go ahead and apply that. And we got to drop this down because it will raise the car. 1266 is where we were at. So whoops, we're going the wrong way. 1266. We're as close to it as we can get. That looks like to be about there. And we had like a 50 something preload. And we're a bit too high on the preload, so let's go. First of all, let's go back to where we were, as I didn't actually remember what we had. So we had 50.9 preload. We'll crank this all the way up. I'm going to uncheck that. Uncheck that. So 50.9 preload. We had 1266 ride height. And we'll go to 4,000 pounds. Apply it. Take this down to a 1266. I did it again. Or that's as close as we're going to get to it anyway. And we'll make the attach, and we'll drop this down to 50.9. Whoop, too far. Closest we can get to 50.9 without being illegal is 42. So let's go ahead and run this and see what it does to the handling of the car. My bet is it's going to be a little bit looser coming into the corner, and it should tighten me up somewhat coming off. I can already feel it does have more turn in. It's actually getting me onto the apron. That should be good enough. So yeah, as you stiffen that left front spring, it makes the car looser coming into the corner. And we'll go ahead and get out of here, and then now we're going to go in and show you what the happens when we soften it up. So we're at a 1268 right now. So we're going to take this down to a 500-pound spring. And we're going to uncheck that, uncheck that. 500-pounder. Yep, there we go, 500 pounds. You don't want to get too soft to where the car actually bottoms out. The spring gets too soft, it'll actually bottom out, and then when it does that, you'll actually end up with a situation where the spring may coil bind, and then you go from a 500-inch-pound spring to an infinite inch-pound spring. Basically, you have no spring at all when it coil binds. So now we're going to take this back up to the 1266. It actually kind of looks like it rose or made the ride height rise. I'm not quite sure why, but all right, there's a 1266. Apply our thing, and we're going to take this back to a 50. Okay, so 49.5 is as close to it as we can get. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our ride heights and our preloads back about where they were. So that's about as close as we're going to get right there. So let's take her out and see what she does now. My prediction is the car will be tighter coming into the corner. and it may loosen it up coming out of the corner. Or at least that's my guess. Oh yeah, she didn't want to turn quite as well. Oh, she's kind of tight all the way around. Oh yeah, she don't want to turn worth a shit. So yeah, going to a softer left front spring is going to make the car tighten up, particularly on entry. But if you go real soft, it'll actually be tight all the way through the corner. Yep. And that's why I keep hitting the walls, because I can't get it to turn. So now that we've seen the both extremes of what the left front spring feels like. So let's go ahead and jump back out of this. We'll do a quick recap. So with a left front spring, anytime you change springs, you always want to watch your ride heights. Make sure that you put the ride height and your preload back where they were, as close as you can get them when you make a spring change. So, to recap, the softer the left front spring, the less the car wants to turn. It wants to keep going straight. The more spring you put on the left front, the more the car wants to turn, particularly on entry. So that basically wraps up the lesson on the left front spring. And we'll see you in the next one.